The NAHREP 10 is a set of 10 principles and disciplines for success in business and in life. And our presenter for this bilingual series is NAHREP 10 certified and trainer Rico Vallejos. He's an award-winning copywriter and serves as Chief Creative Officer and Senior Copywriter at Rico Latino LLC. And he's a seasoned presenter on cultural and communications. And now, Rico, welcome. Take it away.
Gracias, Fabio. Okay, well, let's start here with my regular disclaimer. I'm going to move this out of the way here. My regular disclaimer here is that this is not financial advice, but a guide to professional and personal success. As you can see, as you will see a little later, it involves a lot more than just finances. At the Hispanic Wealth Project, we do this pro bono to see our communities thrive. I also want to say this. What we're doing here today, looking at this content, is training our subconscious mind, because just reviewing these concepts, even if we've seen them before, helps us be more responsible with money. I'm not a financial planner. I'm a writer-translator, and my work includes communication projects for clients in many industries, including financial services, insurance, real estate. And when I saw the NAHREP 10, I loved it and went through the process of becoming a certified trainer. Before I go any further, I'd like to announce that Elba Guille Garza is a new certified trainer in Minnesota. Now there are two of us here, available to present on the NAHREP 10 disciplines at your event or school or group in English or Spanish or both. These are the 10 principles or disciplines. This is a year-long program. Today we're covering principle 3. By the way, you can ask Fabio or me for the latest version of this PDF, which has links to the YouTube videos for each session. Now, on to today's topic. Live below your means, because downturns are a regular part of our economic cycles. Be ready for the next recession. The thing about this is that many of us here today are entrepreneurs, business owners. We tend to be optimists by nature. And talking about a recession feels like such a pessimist thought. Pessimism. However, the ups and downs are a fact. And by the way, this is a quick review of what we saw in June. You may want to watch that video to get more information if you weren't there in June. Look at the world cycle here. The ups and downs of the economy and of the markets are the norm. During recessions, when the market goes down, that's when you can buy stocks, businesses, homes, other properties. When you live below your means and have a surplus for just a time as this. Then, when the market goes up during the expansion, so do your assets. Buy low, sell high to create wealth for our families and grow our businesses. How can we live below our means? Another very quick review here of what we saw in June. It's very difficult to live below your means if you don't have a budget. That 20% is the idea that we want to have our fixed expenses not go beyond 20% of our income. That's the definition that the Hispanic Wealth Project developed for what it means to live below our means. Then we have the surplus for saving and investing, and of course for our variable and optional expenses. Now let's see what the experts at Quicken say about budgets. They suggest 10 categories with a percentage of your income for each one. This is a way to spend our net income after taxes and other deductions. I put savings and investing first because I like the concept of paying ourselves first before giving money to others. And we're following principle 5 of the NAHREP 10 here, investing at least 20% of our income in real estate and stocks. Since investing in other businesses does not count, I put that as an optional, something that we can do if we go above the 20%. Today, we'll talk about savings more, by the way, because we will see principle 5, which is on investments, in November. This category also includes retirement savings and investments, such as 401k plans and IRA accounts. You may remember this chart from the July session, how investing a reasonable amount over 30 years can reach almost $2 million, depending on return rates. However, had we put that money into a savings instrument, that money would have grown to a much lower figure. Let's keep this in mind. Invest for the long term, and for the short term, you save. We talked about an emergency fund before, and to have about 6 months of living expenses saved as your emergency fund. That starts here in the savings category. When we don't have an emergency fund, that's when we can get into debt. And once we do, it can be very hard to get out of it. And we end up paying a lot of money in interest. Next month, we'll talk about debt and see ways to eliminate it. Something else about savings. It helps to have subcategories because there are areas where we can reasonably expect that we'll have big ticket items sometime in the future. At some point, we have to replace the furnace or the AC or the roof, ouch, or buy a piano for our child or go on a vacation. And you don't have to get into debt for that. If you plan ahead, save some ahead. Some people save this in a spreadsheet. Some people actually have different savings accounts for these things so that they are make sure that they have enough of a balance in each of those areas that are a given. Sometime at some point you will need those things. By the way, I'm looking at vacation here. Consider a staycation. I always believed in being a tourist in my own town, wherever in the world I was living at the time. So go explore your own town, visiting cool places during your regular working hours. I bet you haven't been there during your regular working hours. Here is a huge tip. Automate your savings and your investing. It's a lot easier to save and invest when you don't even see the money. It's taken automatically from your bank account and your paycheck. This really helps us avoid overspending. Where to save? These days, you can get great rates with the 3 classic options I'll show here, so that inflation won't eat up your savings. A high-yield savings account from a bank or credit union is one way. This type of account pays much better interest than a regular savings account. Also from banks and credit unions and from other sources like brokers, certificates of deposit or CDs. In a credit union, they will be called a share certificate. A more complicated option, but with tax advantages and other advantages, T-bills. Out of these 3 options, the high-yield savings account would be the simpler one because all the money you have saved for emergencies is readily available when the unexpected happens. With any of these, read the fine print. These days, you may see offers of all these 3 types of instruments with a big 7% advertised, but it may only apply to the first $500 balance, for example, or have other limitations. So check out the details. If you want to explore using CDs or T-bills, there are some really cool techniques like the ladder savings strategy or the barbell or the bullet. Check them out. Some people have successfully structured their emergency fund that way. And if you're disciplined with your deposits and the dates when you have to move money, you can earn good interest out of your emergency fund. You have to have it there anyway. So might as well make some good interest out of that money that you have to have parked for emergencies. Okay, we finally get to the second category, housing, which is the largest one for the most people. Here you have not only your mortgage payment or rent, but also maintenance and repairs, association fees if you live in a community. And what's optional here are the extras. I know people who spend a fortune in gardening or in holiday decorations, my goodness, and many other optional things. And it is okay if you can afford it and you see it as not essential. Then we have the utilities, the expenses that allow us to live in our homes: gas, electricity, garbage, recycling, water, sewer, all of that. As optionals, we have things that we can cut if we need to tighten the belt, non-essential subscriptions and such. For those of us who work at home, internet service would be an essential expense. Transportation includes the purchase price or lease payment and maintenance and repair of our vehicles, plus gas, car insurance, registrations, parking, all those things, plus any public transportation that we take, even a bicycle and all the costs and maintenance and repair. If that's how you move around, that's your transportation cost. One thing about the emergency fund, that's not for buying a new vehicle, because replacing a car with a new or newer one is a predictable expense. We may not know how many years we'll keep the current one, but we know that it'll eventually happen and we'll have to get a new one, we'll have to change it. And usually the longer we keep it, by the way, the more we are likely to spend on repairs and upgrades. There are people who use CDs or T-bills with maturity in 2, 3, 5 years, stagger them, using the ladder system, so that the money is earning some decent interest in the meantime. And something else here. In my case, when my kids were little, we were homeschooling and I worked out of my home office. So we were able to get by with just one vehicle for a few years. When I needed a car, I rented one from a company that came to pick me up. Today, that's a lot easier to do with Uber, Lyft, and all those other services. So try it for a few months. Give it a shot. See if your monthly bill after a few months is higher than what it would cost you to have an extra vehicle. I can tell you that you will really enjoy the extra room in the garage if you do that. Just don't fill the garage with junk. Food costs. In this category, you can include everything that you buy at the grocery store. You can also add here eating out, other optionals, understanding that those things are not essential. Health. We're going to include here health coverage and insurance related to medical, dental, mental health services, and all the out-of-pocket expenses. If your employer offers an FSA, flexible spending account, please take advantage of it. Review all your benefits. Many companies offer rather generous health wellness benefits, including LSAs, lifestyle spending accounts, and things like that. Some people also use this category for the cost of the gym, personal trainer, nutritional supplements, things that are related to health. Personal expenses is a category that's very general for clothing, presents, some furniture, although maybe large furniture would more likely go under housing. And of course, some of them are more essential than others. Entertainment is also essential. You need to take a vacation or staycation, or just go out. Plan for that and include it in your budget. And of course, some of it is truly non-essential, but it's entertainment. Protection, you need the right types of insurance. You can put some of the insurance costs under the right category. For example, under housing, even if you rent, you need a renter's insurance policy, and then put it under housing. That's part of the housing cost, the insurance. Or under transportation for car insurance. And medical and dental insurance under health. What you put here is the other insurance policies that you need. Life, which is a must, especially if you have minor children, buy at least a term policy. It's not that expensive if you're young. Here we also have other policies that you likely need, like disability, both short-term and long-term, accident, even pet insurance. I talked about that in the June session. I watched the video. And this is the catch-all category for any money left, if any. There are other categories depending on your lifestyle. Each one of us will have slightly different numbers. You don't have to read everything here, but you may want to do a screen capture of this page or just check out the website consumer.gov, a government site with a lot of good basic information and resources. They even have a section on budgeting. And going back to the concept of automating a budget, It is so easy to do with apps like Mint. You enter your accounts and Mint automatically shows your income and expenses by category. Nice. Another app is YNAB, which stands for You Need a Budget. And all of them, by the way, offer free trials. Use one of these. Then after a few months, you can evaluate where your money goes by category, where your money is coming in by category, if you have several streams of income. And check out your percentages for each expense category. From then on, you can monitor, manage expenses. It's actually a lot easier than it used to be and a lot easier than it seems. Investopedia has a recent review and comparison of YNAB and Mint. Pick one and just do it. This is why some people decided that they can handle credit cards and go back to the analog envelope system. This is the, I guess some people still do it. It was more common before computers, I guess. But when the money is gone in each category, that's it. There is no more. Kind of drastic, but it's better than getting into debt. So some people who have credit card problems have done something like this. A few quick concepts here that can help us live below our means to overcome impulse spending, which is something that psychologists study because it's a real thing. Strategies, tactics. Have a 48-hour waiting period, or even better, 72-hour waiting period. Do this. Don't believe when a salesperson tells you that this thing or this experience, if it is a service, has a special discount today only. Don't believe it. The next day, someone else shows up and they'll tell them the exact same thing. Or the company ends one sale only to start another one right away or shortly after, which could even be better than this one. Related to impulse buying, say no more often to yourself and to others. It's okay to say no. If you want to be Minnesota nice, you can say, no, thank you. And that is a good practice, good thing to do. This is interesting because some days you're feeling really good about life. You log into your social media accounts, see your friends traveling the world and going to fancy parties and high-end restaurants and having so much fun. And then you feel bad. Stop keeping up with the Jones. One way to do that is to spend less time on social media. It pays to spend a little in a subscription channel that doesn't force you to watch commercials. This is related to programming our minds because that's what commercials do. And it's hard to not overspend when you are exposed to a lot of commercials. They are very, very, very well fine-tuned messaging, scientifically designed to get us to spend on things we don't need. A big part of advertising and marketing is to create a need. Maybe a need that wasn't there before. I just made you aware that you need this. I get a raise, I spend more money. I get unexpected money, I spend it, quote unquote, outside the budget because it is extra money. Don't do it. It's better to have a plan for unexpected money because actually it happens that we get money unexpectedly here and there. It's like, we'll save anything extra for that vacation, or I'll upgrade my car when I get money above and beyond my regular income. And then you have a plan for it. You don't blow it. Today is easier than ever to get a side hustle. If you're employed, check that you don't have limitations with your employment contract or company policies. Just look in LinkedIn. How many, even part-time, remote work is available out there for your profession, for any profession, really. Many business owners started out by doing something as a side hustle while employed. So don't quit your job if you want to start a business. This is how you start a business. Don't be afraid to ask for more from your employer. This is easier to do, of course, if you have a good relationship with them and if you've been performing well on your job. And we already saw the principle of being in the top 10% of your profession. If you're there, you may have a good chance. Today, many companies can't afford to pay much more, but there are creative ways that may work. For example, using company miles for a vacation, air and hotel. Some employers have done this to reward good employees that they want to retain. Another option is the use of company vehicles or equipment or property, if it fits your lifestyle and the kind of work you do. The owner of an advertising agency in Minneapolis, he was my boss, he was the president of this agency. He owned a beautiful cabin on Lake Superior, which he let employees use when he wasn't using it. I took him up on this, spent time there when my kids were little, and it was great. It was a total win-win because he didn't have to spend a lot of money on this employee benefit. Finally, as a preview of next month's session on debts, pay off debts. Imagine no car loan, no student loan, no debt of any kind. Imagine not even having a mortgage payment. You pay your home insurance and your property taxes once a year, and you're done. Visualize that. That is part of reprogramming your mind. And this has been principle 3, living below our means. Next month, we'll see very practical ways to minimize and eliminate debt, principle 4. In case you didn't know, we have a local NAHREP chapter here in the Twin Cities. And a big thanks to the Latino Chamber of Commerce of Minnesota for hosting us. Check out their event calendar and register for future sessions in English or Spanish or both, as well as other chamber events. Thank you, and let's see if we have questions. Oh, I have a private question here about what does it mean to reprogram our minds? This comes from a long time ago, and today many scientists and professionals use it. Some people don't believe in it, but many people believe in it because it works for them. I know it works for me, and it works for my, I do Spanish accent coaching. It works for my clients, my students. I'm not a teacher, though. I'm a coach, so my coachees in Spanish. But the idea of what we're doing here with all of this program, the reprogramming of the mind is, this is the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, the way Sigmund Freud came up with it a long time ago, of course. Picture a iceberg. You have the little bit that is above the surface, and most of it is under the surface. The conscious mind, the things that we're aware of, is at the top. The subconscious mind is what he came up with, the two versions of that, but we call that the subconscious mind, is what's below the surface, and is a lot more powerful than the conscious mind. When you have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind disagreeing on something, who wins? The subconscious mind, the big heavy thing underwater in the iceberg. The conscious mind says, I shouldn't eat those donuts. I shouldn't eat this whole nice, beautiful ice cream dessert. I don't need all of it. And the subconscious mind says, oh yeah, we will. Do you eat it? Yes. The subconscious mind wins every time. Anytime there's a conflict between the two, we know what to do. We don't do. Even the Bible talks about that which I know I shouldn't do, I do. You know, we just don't. The conscious mind is just that, conscious awareness. It's almost like comparing, let's take a computer from the 90s and the fastest computer you can buy today, not a supercomputer, just consumer computers, business computers. See which one is faster. The computer from the 90s is going to be so delayed, and you are just moving on with the bigger computer with much more, 100 times or whatever, processing power. That is the main difference. And what we do when we become aware and review and watch these videos is we are training. There are more extreme ways to train the subconscious mind. One common thing is hypnotism. You can go to a hypnotist. There are self-hypnotic techniques. meditation. There are many, many, many ways to deal with the subconscious mind. You can Google that, you can watch a lot of YouTube videos on it, and it's something that really works.
And now, thank you for sharing all the, those tools, because now it's a lot easier and user-friendly to go through to use any of these apps, the ones that you recommended. So, hey, everybody should be able to download those apps, and if you don't have a way to do a budget, or your family budget, or your company's budget, this is a way that you can easily do it too. So thanks for sharing, and I'm hoping that everybody will be taking advantage of those tools.
And also sign up for the 2 October sessions, one in English, one in Spanish. If you're bilingual or somewhat bilingual, do both. You're even training better your mind when you approach things in different languages, by the way, and that's true. And because next month we're going to talk about very specific things about getting rid of debt. Imagine, in between now and then, imagine no debt. Imagine no mortgage. Thank you.
Okay, perfect, Rico. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And we will see you next time.